Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
Years back, I worked in the back of house for a chain of fast casual restaurants. Let's call it Emerald Wednesday. I have been there for quite some time and had seen many managers, both good and bad, come and go. They typically lasted just a couple of years. We have been gifted a general manager who was sent to our store as his last chance to salvage his career, and when he failed, we were without a general manager for a couple of months. The assistant managers ran the restaurant and things were okay, but no one was getting promoted within the company. Then a district manager went with an outside hire that was coming in from the other side of the country. This guy was a complete idiot. We will call him Johnny. He had zero experience as a general manager and wasn't even applying for the position, but the district manager talked him into taking the job. Big mistake. Under Johnny's tutelage, our Emerald Wednesday started to slowly fail, mostly due to his mismanagement. He was belligerent to the staff, making a couple of the girls cry by belittling them in front of everyone else. He was so lazy, he'd hide in the office on busy weekends while we struggled without a manager. He refused to do even the basics of his job, like the nightly bowl thaw. For those who don't know, many things are kept frozen in a walk-in freezer and are pulled forward to the cooler at night so that they thaw before morning. This was rarely done on Johnny's evening shifts. We would routinely have to force thaw steaks, shrimps, and chicken under running cold water, which is not something that we're supposed to even do. I saw on a few occasions that Johnny was cross-contaminating foods under the running water. A pan of frozen shrimp sitting on top of, or even in a pan of frozen steaks. At one point, I didn't see this one. Johnny ran some frozen steaks under hot water to thaw them quickly because they needed to be cooked right then. This was a huge problem, and had I seen it, I'd have wanted to punch the fool in his face. We sometimes ran checks of multiple hours and had frequent guest complaints. One guest even threw his silverware at the host. Johnny was called up front and actually took the guest's side, leaving the host in tears. I believe he even calmed the guy's meal. Johnny was a real class act. I made it my mission to do something about him. At the very least, he was going to get someone very ill from his shenanigans. So I sat down with the district manager, who had brought Johnny in, and spoke with him at length and in great detail about how bad Johnny was, how terrible the morale was, how he could get people ill and all of it. He asked me point blank what I thought of Johnny, and I told him Johnny is an idiot. Nothing came of it. Christmas was coming and I knew I was quitting in a couple of months. Johnny insisted on having a Christmas party at a bar a town away, but fraternizing between management and hourly employees was against company policy, so I didn't go. Johnny got quite drunk and drove himself home. I heard from co-workers that Johnny had been pulled over for a DUI. Oops. A week or so later, I wrote a lengthy email detailing everything Johnny has screwed up on. Wrote about the Christmas party and included screenshots of court records I was able to look up on the town's website. I set up a burner email account and messaged everyone I could find in the Emerald Wednesday hierarchy. When I went back to work a couple days later, we had a shiny new general manager, and no one knew what I had done. I am not proud of this, but he was making lives miserable, the restaurant was failing, and I was certain that he was a public health risk. Screw you, Johnny. So I posted this in pity, revenge, but it was apparently too extreme to be there. What my friend does goes way above and beyond the original offense, so it's pro-revenge, done in a really pity way. Follows all the rules, so now to the story. I live in a desert part of the US, and during a few months in the summer, it's consistently over 110 degrees. 43.3 for my Europe bros. I was borrowing my friend's car for a quick drive, because mine was at the shop. He asked me to park it in the shade, but I could not find a shady spot, so I couldn't. So when he went to use his car, it was burning hot inside. He went to me and asked why I did not park it in the shade, and I told him I could not find any. He told me I would regret it, and I thought he was joking. He then offered to pick up my car from the shop. I said yes, because I thought he was going to just park it in the sun for a one-time revenge. So I drive a Prius, and it uses automatic keys that open it when you go near it. This will be important later. He parks my car in the sun like I expected and gives back my keys. I expected this to be the end of it, but no. The next day, I went to work and parked in my normal spot in the shade. One of the only shady spots there. After that, I walked into work and proceeded as normal. Later, I went to find my car during lunch and only to see it 3 spots over in the sun. I thought that it was weird because I remember parking in my normal spot, but maybe I'm just tired and someone was already there and I'm having a memory lapse. My car being in the sun was burning hot. This continues to happen for like 10 more days, until I finally convince myself I'm not that crazy. I start thinking, who the hell is moving my car? No one has a key but me. Then I remember my friend and what he said that. He had to be the one doing this. I talked to him and he smiles. Apparently, when he went to pick up my car, he got a new automatic key made for $300. It has been moving my car 2 or 3 spots over every day into the sun. While let's just say it did not stop after that, but instead he did it more. From my apartment to work, he made it his life's duty that summer to make my driving miserable. Also, if you're reading this, you know who you are. Screw you, jerk. Additional information. For anyone who thinks it's fake cause he could not get the key copied that easily, I had my title and registration in a car. I don't do that anymore because people have made me aware about how dumb that is. I would never take it out cause I would lose it. He also had my driver's license so the shop would let him pick up the car, and I asked him and he said the people who made the key just asked for the registration and title and never even asked for the driver license even though he had it. Also, he has stopped and given me back the key because it's winter now and this story is a few months old. He said that one summer was enough pain for my sin. Here is the backstory. It's a long one. About 2.5 years ago, my apartment was broken into during a camping trip. Some things were stolen, including multiple firearms. A year and a half ago, one of my firearms was found with some kids selling crack in a small city right over the border of the next state. The plea deals fell through and a girl the cops had initially mentioned was going to trial. I receive a letter in the mail telling me of the court date and location, but it's explicitly not a summons. Whatever, I want my gun back sooner than later, so I go. Both the prosecutor and the assistant prosecutor are out sick. One was COVID. They made us hang around for a while for no reason, and eventually I just left. They didn't like that, but whatever. Being there was legally voluntary. I tell them they can mail me the new date, and I will deal with it then. 3 weeks go by and here we are this morning. I get home from work and I check my mail. There are 2 letters. One for the first girl, and another's for a guy I know just as an accomplice from the updates about the girl. His trial is today, and hers is tomorrow. I go to the courthouse 40 minutes away and let them know I am here. Everything is fine. They bring in a jury pool and spend 2 hours getting down to 7 jurors. The trial starts and we're just patiently waiting. 4 cops and 1 other civilian, victim/witness. They tell us no worries. This will be super quick. They basically just need to ask if it's the firearm I reported stolen and I will be on my way. They call in all the cops, who are getting paid this whole time. First, it's now 1 p.m. I've been up for 24 hours on 3 hours of sleep the day before. After working a 12+ hour overnight shift, my entire body is cramping. I am super uncomfortable and I'm exhausted. I last ate at 10 p.m. and the assistant district attorney comes out and tells us they are taking an hour lunch break. I tell her I can't stay and I need to leave. She tells me I am not allowed to. I already presented as a witness to the judge. I'd be summoned. I hadn't. They can charge me with this or that. One of the cops tells me they could detain me. The judge could order me after I point out that I haven't been summoned and again, this is voluntary. Well, basically they try to strong-arm me when all I want to do is go home. I point out that this guy isn't even who I was told was found with my gun. The assistant DA starts explaining how, oh no, he totally was. I don't know who you heard that from. My local PD mentioned the girl by name originally, giving me all these details about the case. Then re-emphasizing that I must stay or I will be charged with a crime. Don't worry though, we will get you in right away so you can leave soon. Soon being in more than an hour minimum. Here's the thing. The judge issued a sequester order first thing in the morning before jury selection. I say fine and wait. Here comes the single greatest act of malicious compliance I've ever committed in my life. All the attorneys come in, all the jury comes in, the judge makes me swear to tell the truth, I do, and as soon as I finished, I blurted out that the prosecutor broke the sequester and was telling me about the case during the break. Stop. Everyone except the lawyers, including me. Eventually, they brought me back in. The judge again makes me swear to tell the truth, confirms I understand what's happening, tells me the importance of a fair trial, maybe the witness tampering then, and explains that witnesses are never to volunteer information and are to only answer the questions. You've been summoned and it's a legal obligation. I let him finish and mention that I have never been summoned. He says, then I'm ordering you. Understand? Yes. Everyone comes back, we all take our oath again. The prosecutor that was threatening me starts asking questions. Here's the thing. I swore to tell the truth. I never agreed to tell it in a way that makes her life easier. She asks me some basic questions, name, age, what I do for work, and so on. Then she gets into the actual questions. Do I own weapons? Did I report any stolen around this date? Did I own one of this model? Did I report this model stolen and so on? Is this your gun? It certainly looks like it. Did the ex-police contact you when it was recovered? No. Who did? My police department. My local police department. Did they give you any details regarding how it was recovered? They said it was allegedly used in a crime by ex-girl. Defense objects, and the judge strikes that from testimony. By now the DA is realizing that she's giving me too much leeway and starts asking for yes or no answers. Eventually asks if I'd recognize the serial number if I saw it. I tell her no, and that roughly sums up my questions from her. Then, it's the defendant's turn, and it goes exactly as you would expect by now. I answered truthfully, but in favorable wording. You said it looks like your gun, but you can't confirm? I'd need to compare the serial number against the police report or the gun shop, which still has it on record. Do you know who stole your firearm? No. Do you recognize Z? No. She asked a few more plausible deniability questions, and then I was free to go. I can't wait to be back tomorrow for the girl's trial. I'll probably be much less malicious, but I know the DA will be nervous when she sees me. Court is officially over, so the sequester order is no longer in effect. Good times, and don't worry, if I botched her case in this regard, that kid had more than enough charges. He should have taken the plea deal. I'm 25 male, currently the only child of my dad, 43, and my mom, 42, as they had me when they were teenagers. They grew up in a small town that very few people get out of, and my mom, who was a quintessential popular girl, and my dad the smart guy that should have gotten out. As you can imagine, becoming parents at 17 was not easy for them, but I truly believe they did the best they could. However, their relationship was always challenging. My mom was happy to stay in her hometown, but my dad had always hoped for more. We never really became a normal nuclear family. Dad never married my mom, they lived apart, and I never had siblings, all of which is an especially sore point for my mother. He's still an amazing father, and I always felt he was there for me. Even though some nights I knew he was dog-tired, he would still patiently teach me physics. He provided for my mom and I, doing back-breaking work to now owning his own construction company. Dude paid for my college in full. He told me that any college I could get into, he would sponsor my ambitions. A couple of years ago, my dad met Annie, 33 female, who used to be my mentor during my college internship, now job. My mom has not been handling any of this well, and she accused my father of trying to replace her with a new stepmom for me, despite that I was almost 20 at the time when Dad and Annie met. When Dad and Annie got engaged and married, Mom accused Annie of stealing her life. When they moved out of state to their dream home, Mom accused Annie of being a gold digger. Last month, I found out that Dad and Annie are 4 months pregnant with a girl. Mom found out last week and has been inconsolable. I'm really trying to be empathetic, but her reaction has been so out of proportion. Accusing Annie of stealing my inheritance. I've listened to her for the last 4 years, playing armchair therapist for her issues with Dad. But yesterday, I finally hit my limit and told Mom that she really needed to move on from her personal issues with Dad and find a purpose outside of trying to build a life with him, because it obviously wasn't going to happen. Am I the jerk for being frustrated and saying that to her? And now some comments on a post. Someone saying, "You're not the jerk. Your mom's been holding onto these issues for way too long, and it seems like you've been patient and understanding for quite some time. It's understandable that you'd hit a breaking point. Sometimes tough love is needed to shake someone out of a destructive mindset. Your suggestion for her to find purpose outside of the drama with your dad might actually be what she needs to hear. It's tough, but you're not wrong for expressing your frustration. Good luck navigating this family drama." Another commenter adds, "Not the jerk. Mom needs therapy. Glad to see that despite the rough start in life, your dad did the best he could and stood by you. He likely remains steadfast support for you even with a new family. Don't let mom cloud your judgment. Be supportive of her, but also be happy for Dad and Annie and their baby-to-be." Third commenter goes with, "Not the jerk. It sounds like your mom likely has always harbored feelings for your dad. It's honestly very sad. You need to encourage her into counseling, and then probably her getting away from where she lives to start fresh where she has opportunities she didn't have by staying in the town. She's still young if she had you as a teen. She deserves happiness too." Note, not that anyone is a bad guy here, but please also keep in mind that you may not know all the ins and outs of your parents' relationship the last 25 years. I never thought I'd have a story that fits perfectly into r/entitled people, but here we are. This incident happened last month and still feels surreal. It was a regular Saturday and I took my son Jamie to the mall. Jamie's 8 and on the autism spectrum. He sometimes gets overwhelmed in busy places, but he's been doing so well lately. We were in a toy store and Jamie was excitedly flapping his hands, a way he expresses joy. Enter Karen. She looked like a typical suburban mom, but with a scowl that could scare a bulldog. She was browsing nearby and kept shooting us dirty looks. I tried to ignore her, but then she marched over to us. "Can't you control your kid? His behavior is so disruptive," she snapped. I was taken aback. "He's not harming anyone. He's just excited," she huffed. "Well, he's annoying me. You should teach him some manners." Jamie, sensing the tension, started getting more agitated, and that's when it went all from bad to worse. Karen suddenly grabbed Jamie's arm. "Stop that ridiculous flapping." Jamie, terrified, tried to pull away, and then unbelievably, Karen slapped him. Yes, she slapped him. Jamie screamed, and I was in shock. "What the hell are you doing?" I yelled, pulling Jamie away. People were staring and a crowd was forming. Jamie was crying and I was shaking with anger. A mall security guard hurried over. "What's going on here?" "This woman just slapped my son," I exclaimed. Karen tried to play the victim. "That child was being intolerable. I was just trying to teach him a lesson." The guard looked horrified. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me." More guards arrived, and they escorted Karen away. Jamie was still sobbing and I was trying to comfort him when another woman approached us. "I saw everything. That was completely uncalled for. I'm so sorry," she said. "I'm Linda, by the way." "Thank you, Linda. I'm Sarah. And this is Jamie." Linda was kind enough to stay with us until the police arrived. They took our statements and I pressed charges against Karen for assault. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Karen was arrested, and the story even made the local news. I received an outpouring of support from the community, and many parents of autistic children reached out to share their experiences. The trial was quick and Karen was found guilty of assault and given a hefty fine and community service. Through all this, Jamie showed incredible resilience. He's back to his joyful self, flapping away to his heart's content. As for me, I've become more involved in advocacy for autistic children. No parent or child should ever go through what we went.